to the newer players of TSM, although I guess the entire roster is pretty new at this point. So, Cleve, first question to you. You guys came into this week looking kind of worse than in the spring split, but you guys 2-0'd this week. You guys look a whole lot better. What were your expectations coming in?
My expectations coming this week were pretty high. Practice was going really well, but even with that, I knew that Cloud9 and Complexity are both still really good teams. So even if we've been doing well in practice, a few mistakes on LAN can easily lead to losing. But I knew that if we played well and played the stuff we practiced, we could win both our games.
And we actually talked to Curse about 40 minutes ago, and they were saying that scrims went really well for them, but it would always fall apart in the actual matches on the LCS stage. Do you guys feel a difference in how you play in LCS compared to scrims?
People play a lot safer at LCS. In scrims, there's a lot more early kills and early fights because there's a lot less at stake. But when it actually comes to LCS, where the games really matter, people tend to just play a lot safer and not go for aggressive plays they usually would go for in scrims.
Does that tend to make it kind of improper practice where certain champions that are going to be lane dominant are actually much weaker because you don't get those plays anymore?
A little bit, and also just practicing late game decision and rotations and things like that doesn't necessarily happen as much because if teams get behind, they'll often call the scrim early. They want to play a new game. They think it's a waste of their time, and usually you either will win lane really hard or lose lane really hard. So there's a lot less to learn, I think, from macro stuff because the games are just really bloodthirsty from both sides.
Okay, so then Bjergs, I want to get you involved in the interview. You're facing up against this Ziggs here played by Prawley. You guys got a really, really early kill in that one. What set you up to say, oh, hey, if you come gank mid, we're going to get rid of him?
I noticed that he was pushing the lane from level 1 really early, so I kind of let him push out the wave, and then on the second wave I froze it, or I didn't quite freeze it, but I had it really close to my tower for a while, and him having Ignite sets him up a lot easier for ganks. You usually see them running heal or something like that, but when he had Ignite, I said, okay, I'm going to hold the wave here, he has Ignite, you can come in after the blue and we can get a kill, and it sort of worked out.
Yeah, that was actually really good individually, and throughout the game, you guys, I thought, did a really great job of closing out the game. You're facing a Ziggs, which is really well known for stalling out games and clearing waves. You guys played around that really well. So as a mid laner, how do you get around the infinite wave clear Ziggs?
With a champion like Yasuo, you can just go for the more split pushing approach because he can just be in a side lane all day, and especially when Renekton is forced to build the early magic assist against Lulu, just swapping the Yasuo into that lane with so much physical damage, Renekton has a really hard time. So we just try to swap the lanes around so Renekton would constantly have a physical damage lane because he built the early Spectre's Cowl. And that way we could always be abusing one lane, and then we could rotate between lanes. And Ziggs can pretty much only wave clear one, then ult the other, but then when the ult's gone, you should be able to get a tower if you play properly.
Just try again afterwards. And, of course, that did work out for you guys. Let's pull up to the mid-game a little bit. There was a 13-minute dragon fight that you guys won pretty heavily. We can pull that replay up on the screen. Cleve, I want you to walk me through what you're telling the team and how you're kind of navigating this fight. You can see the tidal wave already coming.
Okay, so this fight, they walked into our blue, and we knew we had a teleport up, so we called to have Dyrus come in. He actually got his tele cancelled, but even without Lulu, we knew we were strong enough to fight. Amazing got a really good kick onto Prawley, and he got taken out right away. Bjergsen got taken, I don't know if he dies or not. He does die, but even with that, we're still strong enough to just chase them down and pick up a kill.
You just kind of assess that your team is stronger, so 4v4 is worth it.
Yeah.
Just make that snap decision.
Our team fights were really strong in that comp. We had a lot of different ways to proc Yasuo with Nami, Lee Sin, and Lulu, as well as Yasuo's Q. So if they ever run into a clump space like blue buff, they're going to have to run in that area, and it forces them to either use flashes or get hit by tidal wave and take Yasuo out.
That worked really well. Bjergsen, how much of that was the conscious choice coming in saying, we're going to pick a lot of Yasuo synergies, and how much of it was well, this champ's going to work here?
It's a comp that's been played a lot in Korea, the Lulu Yasuo, because you get the knockup from the ultimate, and you can pick champions like Thresh or Nami. Lee Sin has the kick, so it just has a lot of synergy and a lot of ways to set up for Yasuo. It puts a lot of pressure on me because I kind of have to be strong. Sure. Otherwise, we're kind of picking all these things to set up for me for no reason. But that's also why we focused the way with the jungler early game as we did. And it's a really solid comp, and if you don't really hit the tornado, you have something else you can set up with, so I like that.
So you spoke about a lot of pressure being on you. Your last split's MVP. TSM had some struggles in the first couple of weeks. Was there extra pressure on you to step up and get TSM back to top 2?
Of course, I've been pressured a lot by fans, by myself, by everyone that I need to step up, and it's not as much mechanical skill and stuff like that. It's more shot calling and decision making and stuff things like that. And I think that's really what we focus on improving on in scrims. We really focus on if we can chase that kill. I just say don't go for the kill. We want to win the game in an objective approach, and that's how we try to win every single game now in scrims. Because, like Glebe said, scrims are very bloodthirsty. But if you can kind of take that out of your own playstyle at least and focus more on actually learning from scrims rather than just focus on winning through kills. I think you can learn a lot more that way, and that's what we did this week, and I feel like we've improved a lot.
And you spoke about both pressure continuing to be on you, as well as the fact that you said you're having your shot calling where you're putting more of a voice in. How is sort of talking in the middle of the game with you two guys?
I think Glebe and I are probably the ones that talk the most during the game. Amazing also gives a lot of input during the early game, but I don't know. We kind of put Glebe as like our main shot caller, and he has the highest voice. And if he makes a call, we try to follow it. And then this is me and Amazing second. So we try to follow Glebe as much as possible, and it's a learning process. Of course, Glebe is going to make some calls that aren't going to work out. He's going to make some really great calls, but if we follow all of them, eventually he's going to learn when to make every right call, and that's how you build a shot caller. And you really need to build a shot caller. You can't just assign one and expect him to be the best.
Yeah, I gotta say, I mean, Glebe, you've had this like really rapid rise to your career, right? You're on Cloud9 Tempest. You guys are playing the Challenger Series and a very strong Challenger team at that. And now you're on this like old school storied like TSM roster. Like, how do you adapt yourself to like all the extra stakes and all everything else going on?
It's a pretty big change switching from playing like Challenger Series with C9T to LCS, but I've just been like doing everything I can to try to get as good as I can, because there's a big skill difference from playing games in the Challenger Series to playing games in the LCS. So I've just been using all the time I have available to either watch VODs, talk with Loco about things I don't know, or practice in solo queue, because there's a big gap that I like to try to cover and just catch up as soon as possible to make sure we can be like a top team.
Yeah, so you said you're going to take some time, or you've been taking some time to talk with Loco Doco. What has he specifically brought to you that you sort of internalized and learned?
He just knows a lot about bot lane, like playing AD carry professionally in the past, as well as knowing other Korean supports. He can talk to them. He also watches the game a lot, so he knows a lot about bot lane in particular. So if I have any questions about matchups or what champs are strong in the meta right now, or what VODs to watch to learn about like 1v2 roaming or something like that, he can usually recommend something for me.
Cool. And of course, you guys have improved a lot, and Glebe, you've been really phenomenal as well. Bjergs, I want to get back to you. Speaking of amazing plays, actually, we have another replay. You 1v2 in the top lane and get out with style, if you want to pull that replay up. So before it actually starts, what are like the mechanics you employ when you're like going hard as Yasuo?
Obviously, you want to dodge as much damage as possible. I try to keep jumping on creeps or jumping on something so I can avoid damage until my Q comes up, because the Q has like double or triple the auto attack range. So if you can use that as your main damage source and try to kite people as much as possible, that's how you want to win these fights. And I was just kind of like, as soon as I saw her, I was like, either I'm gonna die or I'm gonna go big. And I keep trying to just jump on creeps and avoid as much damage as possible, and I get the double knockup, which procs the armor penetration, so I start doing a lot of damage. Here, when I'm killing Renekton in the end, I realize that I have Ignite up, and I'm like, oh, maybe I should actually use that. I do, and it ends up going pretty well. Yeah,
of course, that went really, really well for you guys. Okay, so you guys go 2-0 in the week. You said you were confident coming in. Is this the story now? Is TSM going like, what, 18-0 the rest of the season now? Are you guys back, or is there still room to grow?
I think there's still a lot of room to grow. We did go 2-0 this week, and that's really good for us, but the LCS right now, especially compared to last split, has a lot more strong teams.
Yeah.
Dig, LMQ, CLG, C9, all those teams, as well as every team in actually LCS, look like pretty strong and can all take games off each other. So we just need to keep practicing and keep improving. But going into this week, I think we saw a big amount of improvement, and if we can keep it up, I think we'll end off really well in the season.
Well, next week's matches, you're against the Dignitas, who's number one right now, as well as Evil Geniuses, who've got a new jungler in Helios, and you're a new addition to a team as well. Like, have you been able to play against EG? Have you watched them play their match yesterday? What do you think of this team?
We've played versus EG a few times in scrims, and we've also watched their matches. I think getting Helios on the team is an improvement for the team, but they still have to get adjusted to him, and that'll take time. But overall, I think it's going to make them a better team.
Okay. Well, guys, congratulations on the win. Congrats on the 2-0, and we'll see you guys hopefully keep rising on up in the next week. But we're going to have some more games coming up. We're going to take a quick break, and we're going to grade your answers for our Twitter question of the day. And sorry, there's no summer vacation from the LCS, so keep the answers coming. And it's right back into the Rift for CLG versus Evil Geniuses. Keep that browser where it's at.
Does Lemonation mean emotional? But if you put down the letters, it's emotional.
Lemonation.
No, it's not.
You got me good.
Has been left on the backside. Bjergsen gets out. Does the flow keep him alive? Robert actually pumps a rocket over the wall.
Oh, Probably gets hit up a long
Right into the bubble. Oh, very nicely done. The tidal wave goes out. Probably goes down.
Here we go, though. 2 versus 1 up top on Bjergsen. Squishy target. They might be able to capitalize.
Oh, he goes back in. Oh, my gosh.
Yeah,
he goes back in. The healing's going to be there. Will he actually be able to rock this out? The double kill.